Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Awake and Wait podcast, where I just had a chance to practice. Isn't that interesting? I lost all my video and audio right at the last minute. So just took a deep breath, got centered, and we are ready to go. This week, welcome, everybody. We are here live. We being me and my wonderful friend and assistant, Bev Garlipp. Let me bring her in. Hi, Bev.
Hi, everybody.
We were just talking, Bev and I have been working together for 14 years since 2011. That went fast, didn't it, Bev?
It did. It did.
Bev is spending the summer in upstate New York in the camping lifestyle. So she has a taste of what my life is like on the road. She had to go find a place to have good internet to help me out here today. Feel the questions from all of you. You're at your sister's house, I believe, right?
I am, right? Yeah.
All right. Well, Bev has this real knack for knowing exactly what questions to ask from those of you who are writing them in the chat. If you're joining us on YouTube Live, if you're on Facebook Live, I'm not sure if Bev is able to access those. Can you, Bev, or just the ones from YouTube?
Both are coming in. I
Oh,
see both.
excellent. Okay. So we're not going to be doing readings, personal readings online today. No personal questions about are you going to win the lottery, that kind of thing. What we're doing is I'm going to tune into my guide, Sanaya, and get answers from the higher realms about our loved ones across the veil, how to connect with them, the greater reality, and any deep spiritual or metaphysical questions. I'm going to tune into them and we'll see how the answers come through today. So this is fun to do it live because I don't have any idea what the questions will be, nor the answers. And if I think I know an answer, I will pause and tune in and get it fresh from the guide. So I did see a comment already, Bev, that before we went on about somebody asking us to send energy to the Texas Hill Country. That's really being as this is live, just so prevalent in so many of our minds right now. Just hundreds have passed from this, and it's very truly sobering. I've been there, I have friends there, and I know that everybody who lives there is affected. There's not a soul there who doesn't know somebody or know somebody who has passed or is suffering tremendous grief right now and shock. And this is where the Awakened Way teachings are so important, that we learn how to shift our focus to the soul's perspective and get a higher perspective of this, a dual perspective. It doesn't take away the grief. It doesn't take away the fact that at the human level, these events are tragic, but at the soul level, we can tune in and feel the interconnectedness and help each other through this with support and the support of the spirit world. So if everybody would just join me, no matter where you are in the world, and just take a moment and send peace and strength and courage, these innate aspects of the soul, to those who are suffering. Not just, of course, in that area. There's challenges all over the world, but that's in our focus right now. So sending love to those who are there. Bev, we're going to be there later this year sharing Wolf's message at, what is the location? Unity?
It's Unity of the Hill Country in Kerrville.
Right in Kerrville. It's already scheduled at wolfsmessage.com. And I can't help but think how healing watching the documentary Wolf's Message will be for those there, because it's all about proving we are souls and that we ultimately do not die. The body does, but we continue to exist, and those who have passed are still here. And that's what that documentary shows. So it's very fitting. And I'm glad that we'll have at least a few months for people to get through this initial shock, and then that will hopefully bring a lot of comfort to the people in the area. So
Sure.
a little bit of heavy energy there at the human level, but the peace is here at the soul level. So let's just slide into a beautiful discussion with those in the spirit world, and with all of you joining us from our Awaken Way community. Those of you who are new to my work probably found me through YouTube. We're glad you're here. Check out the comments coming in the live chat. You can see it's a place of love. It's a place of connection, understanding, and peace and joy, just to gather with kindred spirits from around the world. So, Bev, let's turn it over to you.
Okay, a timely question here from Shelley, who asks, Is it harder to connect with a loved one if we're still grieving? I try to raise my vibration to make it easier to make contact, but sometimes it's easier than others. Doesn't make a difference.
I can tell you from personal experience, it is definitely harder to connect with those across the veil when we're grieving. Why? Because our energy field, our human aura, our biofield is affected by our emotions and our thoughts. And what we want to connect across the veil is a state of coherence. In fact, that's one of the main topics of my live monthly webinar that's coming up Tuesday night, the monthly connection. We're going to be talking about coherence and ways to become more coherent. So what is the opposite of coherence? It's incoherence, and grief just fills us with all of these thoughts, and we go to the past and we're dragged down. And so that state of not being completely centered, of being balanced, does get in the way of sensing those who are here. They're right here, but we need to come into resonance with those across the veil. And we do that by being calm and still. And when you're in deep grief, the mind is just chaotic. And often, many of you who have had a close loved one pass understand that term, the fog of grief. Truly, your mind is foggy. It's hard to focus, whether it's a human being or a pet. Grief is grief, and it's very challenging to focus. And so I have experienced moments of grief over the 15 plus years that I've been working as a medium. And I know that that's the time when I put my readings on hold and I don't work until I come back into balance. But it doesn't mean we don't work at clearing the fog. We'll still go through the process. There will still be waves of grief that you'll feel, but sit in stillness every day, simply with the goal of finding that place in you that's beyond the grief, that just is, just simply being. And when you find that place, there's more space between your thoughts. You can feel the stillness, and that's when your loved ones can get their messages through to you. And that's when throughout the day, you'll notice signs that they send you. So don't stop. I don't want to use the word trying. The guides say, don't stop simply having moments of pure being. Feel the grief, let it flow as it will, and that's the key. Grief comes in waves. So when you're in the troughs of grief, flow with it. When you get in that center space where you're not high, you're not low, you're just present, that's a good time to make an effort to connect. So a bit of a long answer, but it's such an important question.
Important.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mhm.
We'll switch to spirit guides. Pamela asks, do our spirit guides keep company with us when we go to the other side? In what ways do they guide us there?
Well, I'm going to have to ask. They're putting in my mind that my guides are putting in my mind that song, 1,000 Years. I've known you for 1,000 years. And they know us for all eternity, but for our incarnation here, they're full-time on duty. And after we cross the veil, they're telling me we continue to maintain contact. We know their presence is with us, but the learning is not nearly as powerful as it is when we're here. So we don't need them as much. We're surrounded by love. We're aware of who we are once we cross the veil. And should we choose, they say, to continue the friendship, the cooperation, that continues, but it's not nearly the same relationship as it is now. By the way, I'm teaching a workshop at the Omega Institute next weekend. If you're watching live, that would be July 19, 20, 21, I believe. Or is it 18, 19, 20? Whatever
18,
Friday,
19,
18, 19, 20, whatever Friday, Saturday, and Sunday is, it's not too late to join me in person there in Rhinebeck, New York. But this year, for the first time ever, we're live streaming the full weekend. You could carve out the whole weekend and actually attend live. I'll be talking to everybody in the audience and those on camera as well, and taking questions from those who are part of the live stream just as much as those who are participating live. You can find out more about that right on my homepage on featured events. So love to see more of you at the Omega Institute. The power, the energy of being fully immersed in the awakened way and learning how to make the connection yourself is the point. but to be fully immersed for a weekend makes a real difference. And we'll be getting transmission from my guides. As Bev can tell you, the energy is palpable.
It is. Okay, you ready?
Yep, ready.
Okay, here's one. I was fascinated by your recent interview with Cheryl Page about artificial intelligence and spirit. What does Sanaya say about using AI to communicate with spirit?
Oh, I've asked them this question many times, but let's ask again. They're saying right now it is a powerful tool and one for transformation, but it is merely a tool, not something to be relied upon and not your initial go-to. They're going like this: go within first. In fact, I've completed a book that I've already submitted to Hay House. It's, what is it called? Let me just go over here. It's called Always Connected. And the point is that we too often turn to technology first instead of turning within. We say, hey Siri, instead of saying, hey Spirit. Same word, add 2 letters, P and T. My guides showed me that and I thought it was brilliant. So about AI, they say it's actually not artificial. I think this point came up in the podcast last week. You can find that on my YouTube channel with Cheryl Page. It was very mind opening, mind expanding. But the point is, there is no such thing as artificial intelligence. There's intelligence. And of course, we know what we're trying to say here. But what we're trying to say and what the guides want us to know is that if we approach any tool for getting information with conscious intention and the highest good, that our motive is for growth and service, then it's a very powerful and positive tool. And when you use this intelligence to be guided by your guides for just the right prompt, it's going to really accelerate your own spiritual journey. But first and foremost, spend time in the stillness without technology, especially for those moments when you don't have it. I'm just back from a week's vacation where for the first time in well over a year, I went anywhere without my laptop in my luggage. And it was just fantastic to be offline for a week.
Great, thank you.
Mhm.
John asks, can Sanaya say something about the dark night of the soul? What exactly is that?
The guides, well, I close my eyes as I'm tuning in here, guys, which is what I really recommend all of you do anytime you have a challenge. Just pause and listen within and know that a higher answer is going to come to you. So, the dark night of the soul, right? I could go to AI and say, what is the dark night of the soul? But we ask within, asking higher consciousness. And they say that it is a period of human experiences that contrast so greatly with your normal experience of being the light that you feel enveloped by darkness. It stands out so greatly in contrast to what the soul knows is your birthright of an underlying state of peace and tranquility, that it's noticeable. And yet the soul is still here. The soul is still aware and trying to get through to you that through this contrast, you will naturally seek something higher, something greater. So if you're going through a period in your life where there's just so much darkness and you can't see a way out of it, there's always still within you something that's saying, there is something better, there is something greater. So feel it for the contrast it offers you, and know that out of that darkness, you're going to come to a place of even greater brightness. So it's not something to be feared. It's not something that everybody goes through, but when you are going through it, you certainly know it. And it's not, it is, they say it's a misnomer because the soul is not dark. We say a dark night of the soul. Mostly they're showing me now an eclipse, right? Because the soul's light is eclipsed. So it's like the light of the soul is eclipsed by the darkness, but the soul is always bright. And we know it and it's there, and that's what propels us onward on our journey.
Perfect. Thank you. Just an initial on this one. W. Can we ask our higher self to change our contract that we agreed to?
Huh. The guides say, yes, you can ask, but will it happen? That's really the question, isn't it? Okay, can we ask our higher self to change the contract? Yeah, there's my first lip twitch of this of the show today. Anybody that's followed my work knows that my guides twitch the lip when they're talking to me to say, "Go ahead, say this, trust this. We're here with you." I can't make that happen. So what's that lip twitch about? They say the question is, why would you want to change it? Because the human side doesn't like discomfort, or the human side says this shouldn't be happening, or I didn't sign up for this, or the human side may not actually realize what it is you signed up for, what your soul contract is. But just know that we come here many times knowing that this life is going to have specific challenges. And as I've said in the past, imagine yourself as at the soul level, working with your guides who are equal to you before you come into an incarnation. They're just, it's like, we're going to work together. We're going to guide you. You're going to forget that we had this meeting here. And are you sure you want to take on those certain challenges? And it's like, yeah, put me in, coach. I'm going to really have so many opportunities to learn from that. And so you go and you do it. But a better question they're saying right now than asking, can we ask them to change our soul contract, is to ask, why did I sign up for this experience I'm having right now? And what can I learn from it? How can I benefit from it? And how can others around me benefit from this experience I'm going through right now? And so many times we'll say, I didn't sign up for this. And maybe not specifically, because other people's choices and the people we interact with can change certain circumstances in our lives, but we always have choice. Always have choice. It may not be comfortable, but this is the way we grow, through our moment by moment choices and constantly attuning to spirit and to the soul's inner guidance. So, yeah, there
Thank
we go.
you.
Thank you.
Sherry asks, other than finding joy in life as a life purpose, how do we know if we are on the path that our soul has planned?
The guides are showing me a little bit of a redirection. They're showing me a tool and just tweaking that phrase just a little bit that here in the United States, we're guaranteed the pursuit of happiness. We feel that happiness is our birthright. And we say that joy is our birthright. The joy, the divine joy, is not happiness. It's just this contentment and an underlying peace that is always present. So when we say that our purpose is to find joy, it's that kind of joy. It's not that life is always pleasant and happy and wonderful. That's not what we came here for. We came here for the waves and to learn to master surfing the waves, not to avoid them. And sometimes, again, some of our greatest growth comes from the surfing itself. So, Bev, give me the second part of that question, because the first part was just to make sure we understand that the spiritual path is not about finding happiness. It's about mastering emotions and not letting them swamp us, and remembering we are souls who are already whole and complete, and bringing that to the challenges that we face, shifting our identity from only human to fully spirit and human for a while. What was the second part of the question?
The second part was, how do we know if we are on the path that we planned?
The guides are showing me that life is flowing, that you feel this calling and you're following it, that you're not hitting walls, and there's a peace and simply an innate knowing, this is what I'm here to do. And it doesn't have to be something big. It could be any job. And I mean, a teacher teaching young children, this is what I'm here to do. A person who just by volunteering and serving food to those who don't have it, this is what I'm here to do. It almost always, the guides say, will involve service of some kind to others, be that people or animals or the environment, whatever it is, it's something greater than the self. And when you involve yourself in that, there's that knowing, yeah, that's what it is.
Okay.
Let me just
This
pause
is
a second and just
sure.
acknowledge if you're just joining us, this is live. I'm taking questions that I don't know that Bev is picking up from those of you who are chatting through either YouTube or Facebook. If you're not with us live, no worries, because hopefully you'll find something of value in the answers that are coming as I tune into my guides, Sanaya. Okay.
And sort of a silly question, I guess. Is Bev from Buffalo? They must be picking up on my accent. And actually, I'm near Buffalo, New York. I'm in a little village called Elba. And if you're from New York, you'll probably know where that is. And if you're not, you'll have no clue.
But you
That's
grew up right near Rochester, is it?
near Rochester, New York, right?
You know, everybody, it's really funny because Ty and I are on tour with Wolf's Message, the documentary, wolfsmessage.com, by the way. And oh, by the way, we just opened up live screenings with me and Ty and showing the film and discussing it in Novato, Marin County, California, very soon, August, and Phoenix, Arizona in October. But we have 4 stops coming up in August, so I hope some of you can join us there. But anyway, when we went through New York State on the tour just last month, we stayed at a campground, and on our way out of town, I knew that Bev had stayed near here and stayed at that campground in the past. We stopped to play ball with the dogs. Our dogs, I've never heard of a dachshund retriever, but that's what we have, dachshund retrievers. And they love to play ball, and we try to find open fields for them. And we found a high school. And I looked at the name, we're playing with the dogs. I said, Ty, I think this is Bev's high school, because she won an award. They brought her back home like a year or two ago. What was the award you won, Bev?
Oh, it was an alumni recognition award.
Yeah, like lifetime achievement for one of our alumni from her high school. It was really cool, the person of the year. And I recognized the name from when she got the award. And sure enough, we ended up playing ball with our dogs at Bev's high school. How cool is that? Anyway.
And to show you how small that high school is, I was in a class of 65 people.
There we go.
I won't tell you what year that was.
Y'all would be surprised what year that was. Yeah. Okay, Bev. Let's get some more questions from our lovely community.
Brenda says, given our increase in vibration and the challenges of our beliefs, how will the world religions be affected? Will these structures be deconstructed? What is the future of world religions?
Okay. Who did you see that little lip twitch? And I'm seeing imagery like this, that there will be more of a balance in those who seek to be told what to believe. And there's much truth in that, the guides say, versus those who go within to know what to believe. Isn't that an interesting difference between religion and spirituality? And the balance right now is more people, because they're saying the way the human mind is trained, we trust more what other people tell us and what is in books than what we get within. So religions will continue to exist because that's the human way, but yet more people will come to trust, as we are right now, that inner knowing. Anything I say today, how does it feel in your heart as I say it? Does it feel like it resonates, or you just can't go there? Then you set it aside. But the challenge with religions is it's very easy for power to take over and have to have groups. And if you don't believe what we say, then there are consequences. Whereas with spirituality, it's much more individual, and you can choose what path you follow. So there's going to be more of a balance in future years, is the bottom line. Interesting question. Good to see so many. I'm sorry, Bev, but I'm looking, I can see the comments over there, and I love seeing so many familiar names and a lot of new names and a lot of people saying, just found your work. So welcome.
Wonderful. Well,
we have 888 people signed in right now on YouTube. Wonderful. That's pretty cool. And it's going up. I love that number.
Welcome.
Let's talk about angel numbers for a minute. That's what we call them when we have repeating numbers: 333, 111, 444. What does that mean that I just happened to look up and it was 888? These are just little snags. I call them little God winks, that those numbers carry an energy in them. The guides say don't get into that now, but you feel a lift when you look at the clock and all of a sudden it's 11:11 or a special hour that's meaningful. Many times you happen to look at the clock because a loved one or your guides turn your head that way, say look that way, and you feel that catch, and it helps you know you're connected to something higher.
Cool.
Okay.
Okay, this is still on the religions theme. There are so many teachings that contradict one another in our religions, whether there's a hell or not, whether there's a devil or not, or Jesus is the Messiah or not. How do we know what is true?
Mm. Hmm. The guides just now said mystery, that there will be many things that we will not know until we cross the veil. And it's the very mystery itself that leads to us learning. It's the fact that we don't have the answers, that we seek more. And it's the fact that there are certain things when we're told them in religions that don't sit well. There's a clenching inside that says, that just doesn't resonate with what my heart knows, that leads us on the spiritual path. So how do you know? Listen to your body, because the heart, the center of you, is the bridge to the soul. And this is how the soul says to you, this is truth and this is not. Your body serves as a barometer and an instrument of the soul to let you know what to pay attention to or not. So many people come to my work because they say that I just can no longer believe some of the things that I was taught in my childhood. Bev and I are just, one of our dearest friends is Lynette Setzkorn, who was a member of our team for the longest time till she retired not too long ago. And she was raised in a religion that from a very early age, 5 years on, had her afraid of going to hell. So much so that she was deathly afraid of death, because she thought that even though she had lived what she thought was a good life, she had done certain human things that many of us do. And she was sure she was going to hell, but not even starting at age 5. And coming to the spiritual path has been so freeing for her to get rid of the fear. If I don't believe this, then that's one of the biggest challenges. So I recommend you all start with my Sip of the Divine practice. Check it out on YouTube. Just type in Sip of the Divine. There's 3 minutes a day and sitting in stillness and asking one question at a time, like, who am I? Or what do I believe? Will help you tune into the body when it's not incoherent. Will help you feel that spaciousness that's so necessary for discerning truth. So start there.
Wow, thank you. This question has been asked before, but I know it's very important to many people. Lily asks, what happens to the soul of a person who dies by suicide? Do they feel regret? Are they confused?
Let me make sure I ask the guides this one. They are surrounded by love, the guides say. First and foremost, know that all who pass are met by love and surrounded by love. There is often great surprise, they say, because many who choose suicide as a way of escaping their pain, as a way of relief from the pain, are surprised to find that there is more. Some go to a healing type environment. I'm showing this room with a blue color that's very peaceful, and they're shown how thoughts and choices led them to make that ultimate choice. But all are met by love, they show me. Is there regret? And the guides say, not in the way you know regret in human terms. There's an understanding about the purpose of being in a human body. And it goes back to what we were talking about earlier about growth through choices, about growth through navigating the dark night of the soul and learning to surf and not get swamped by the waves. But there is also great understanding about how challenging the human life is. So there's no blame or judgment on the other side. But once we have the bigger picture across the veil, I'm being shown now, there is often a desire to let our loved ones know that we see things differently now, that we would have possibly made different choices, but the guides say not always. So every case is unique, but do not feel that your loved ones, they're showing me gnashing of teeth and great suffering. Much of the great suffering happens even before we pass, but across the veil, it's more of a, now let me help my loved ones not suffer. Let me show them how they may grow in ways that I didn't while I was in a physical body. There's so many layers of this that we could go into. But just, Bev, you just passed me an email from one of our community members who had a loved one who passed by suicide, and they were shown this wolf with golden eyes over and over right after loved one passed. Do you remember that email?
Mm.
I haven't
I
responded to
don't
it.
remember it.
Oh, maybe it
Okay.
was Patty then, the one who checks my email,
Okay.
Patty Hart. She probably sent it to me. But this woman kept seeing her loved one who had passed with a wolf beside him and these glowing gold eyes. And I thought immediately of the documentary Wolf's Message. We show a drawing that the young man named Wolf in that documentary painted with a wolf with these golden eyes. And Wolf told me from across the veil, he's helping those who pass by suicide. But she hadn't read the book. She hadn't seen the film yet. And her husband came up to her and said, I just saw a vision of our loved one with a wolf with golden eyes. She hadn't told him a thing. And she just knew that that was a sign that her loved one is being helped from across the veil by the soul, a very powerful soul of Wolf. So everybody's surrounded by love, which was not exactly the question, but it's something we all need to hear.
Thank you. Let's see, Catherine asks, I know in most cases we should not read for others without their permission, but can we ask our guides to work with the guides of another for their help or protection, or is that going against some boundaries?
Okay, and when we talk about reading for someone, Bev is talking about, should we do, as if you're a medium or a psychic or a healer, should we work on somebody else without their permission? Ethically, we say that that's not usually the best thing to do, especially if we're going to tap into their personal stuff. But there is no, that's a good word, no prohibition, the guides say, against helping another. So using our guides to work with their guides to instill advice or guidance or love for another is a beautiful practice to do, and no problem with that. I can tell a quick story here that I remember teaching this in a workshop once, that if you have a loved one that just isn't hearing you or they don't want to accept your advice, there's no problem with asking your guides to talk to their guides to, like I said, inspire them and send them your love if your loved one isn't receiving it directly. I shared this with the workshop, and I had everybody enter the stillness and ask their guides to connect with the guides of a loved one. The next day, a woman came back to the class in tears. She said she'd had a fallout with her daughter 3 weeks previously, and her daughter said, Mom, I never want to talk to you again. And obviously, she was going through a lot of turmoil and grief with that, and her daughter wouldn't take her calls. She wasn't texting. So she tried this technique, and she said, oh, my guides, please talk to my daughter's guides and just tell her I want to reconcile. And she said, Suzanne, my daughter called me and said, Mom, I want to reconcile. The exact words that she had asked for. Now, I can tell you that we have a challenge in our own family of estrangement. This topic has come up before, and I've tried this technique and it didn't work. So there are always going to be factors at play. Don't feel that you failed at this, but it is a beautiful practice for helping someone else through their guides if you're not able to help them directly.
Thank you. Okay, if all is one big web and our thoughts and feelings affect outcomes, is there really anything random on Earth?
Mm. Yes, the guides are saying free will is the wild card. Not everything is completely planned, but oh, they're taking my breath away with this one. Oh, they say that miracles happen when, if as a result of free will choices, something that will affect the greater good will completely go awry, then the guides or angels can step in and part the veil enough that they interfere with free will. Does that make sense to everybody? If if the guides were never allowed to help us, then we might be at their mercy. But there are certain times, I know some of you have had examples when, hey, it's not supposed to happen that way. We're going to change things and miracles happen. Bev, remember when I taught a workshop at Unity Village and we had 3 ladies in a rental car coming to Unity Village together in a car. And before they got underway, they prayed, angels, please protect us on this route. May we get to our destination safely. And you remember, Bev, all 3 of them in the car saw a big black rock fly out of the back of a dump truck in front of them. It was coming right at the windshield. And in front of their eyes, it split apart and went like a slipstream around the car. The guys say that's a perfect example of they were on a path. That rock was not supposed to fly out of there. It was not their time. And the guides had to step in and perform what we would call a miracle, to part the veil just enough to say, hey, you are connected to a greater reality. Sometimes we can step in and part that veil and you can see this world is not as solid as you think. It is malleable. And I hear some of you right now saying, so why did my loved one die? Why did that accident happen? Why was my loved one here in this spot? And why didn't the angels step in then? This is when being aware of the greater reality and the fact that everything works together, everything's interconnected, death is not really the end. We grow from some tragedies, that it's all part of this giant tapestry of being. And that when we can accept that what appears to be chaos is actually part of a beautiful plan coming together, that we learn to trust what does happen. So I hope that's helpful to all of you. Yeah. Let me just take a moment here to talk about my book. If you don't know about it, this one just came out last month, Making the Afterlife Connection. Lots of tools in here, along with stories to open you to the awareness of the greater reality. In fact, Bev is in this book, right, Bev?
Yes.
Yeah, because you're such a part of this journey with me. But tools, because this book shows that I went from not having seen spirits my whole life, from not knowing there was a greater reality, from, left brain US Navy commander serving at the highest levels, with the president a dozen times, never talking about these kinds of things, to now having, like the book says, from belief to knowing death is not the end, irrefutable trust. That's not the right word. Incontrovertible trust in the spirit world, the absolute knowing that death is not the end, that we're connected to something greater, the absolute ability to find peace in the midst of some of these awful tragedies that happen to us. Does it mean that I don't lose it from time to time? Not at all. But knowing that that peace is available itself is a life raft to us. And that's what we want for all of you, to learn to make the connection yourself. Okay.
Okay.
You all having a good time, I hope. Yeah, just good energy. I feel very mellow today. I think I'm bouncing off your energy. Bev's kind of mellow today. Sometimes we get a little goofy, but there's a lot going on in our world, isn't there? Yeah.
Yeah. I think mellow is good today. We
Yep.
need some mellow.
I hope y'all can feel the love. Boy, oh boy. Okay.
Camilla asks, do daydreams serve any purpose?
I know I got a big yes right away to that. Let me ask the guides. Oh, they say they are the doorway to connecting with the spirit world. So many people think that you're using your imagination, and that using your imagination, you're imagining the experiences you have when you get in expanded states of reality. But they say that daydreams are the doorway from the left hemisphere of the brain to the right, which is a flow state, that it allows you to imagine possibilities. And that is how you create your reality here, that you are actually, oh, cool. Oh, I love it. They said, let me go full screen here. They're showing me now that daydreams are the knitting needles, and your thoughts and the visuals that you have are the threads that go into the tapestry that is your life. These are some of the kinds of analogies we're going to be talking about at the Omega Institute and my Making the Connection workshop next weekend. Again, you can join me live streaming or in person in Rhinebeck, New York. It's not too late. Check that out on the events page of my website or right under the homepage. But about how we create our reality with our thoughts. In fact, Ty and I have been doing so much of that in the last 2 days, just daydreaming. And it's that, like Cheryl Page says all the time, what if mentality. If you just take life at face value instead of dreaming big and having that miracle mindset, you don't know what's possible for you. I remember I had a psychic reading with a psychic, Annette Bricka, and she told me several things that were coming down the line for me that I couldn't even imagine, like a movie in the next year. But because she put that idea in my awareness, I realized I wasn't thinking big enough. And suddenly I started imagining, daydreaming about what that would look like. And look at this, a year later, we're on tour with the documentary Wolf's Message, which just won 2 awards at the online version of the Worldwide Film Festival in Cannes, right? Best true story, best mystical spiritual film, and a director's choice at Illuminate. That started from an idea put here by another human soul that became a daydream that became reality. So they're absolutely useful. And so if you could start your meditation by imagining yourself having a connection with a loved one who has passed, you're creating that opportunity for yourself. You're opening the door, the guides say me. It's a threshold. So you'll move from what you believe is imagination to suddenly feeling the presence of a loved one or experiencing the actual reality of whatever it was you were imagining. Imagining is bringing imagery into reality. What a great question.
That is great. Great.
Yeah.
Another question about AI, sort of in a different perspective. Megan asks, I would like to know what Sanaya says about the environmental impact of AI.
Okay. They want me to share what Cheryl Page shared with me just the other day in email, that yes, it uses a lot of energy and resources to run the equipment for AI, but the footprint for AI is less than the equipment for streaming Netflix and other platforms. Interesting. I cannot validate that phrase right there. So do not take it as truth. You may want to check on it yourself. But the point the guides are saying is that we are glad you are asking these questions. This shows you will continue to use resources responsibly. But the outcome, the benefit of using this source of intelligence and insight and wisdom with consciousness, with awareness, will far outweigh the negative effects. Okay. And they're showing me that it's recursive, they say. It will build on itself, that if you ask it, how can we have less of an impact on our environment? How can we have not a negative impact on our environment by using AI? That AI will show you how. You see? It'll come up with ways that we wouldn't even see. So they said, they're saying take the fear out of it and use it responsibly.
Awesome.
I want to acknowledge we have over 1,000 people now joining us today.
Excellent.
That's just all. Take a moment, take a nice, slow breath in, and know that our gathering here today has ripple effects. We're all bringing in this higher energy and love. And now turn that love that's within you outward to our world and send healing to our world, that others may feel this sense of connection and know that we can harness our thoughts and our choices for the greater good of all of us, that it's not just about us, it's about all of us. It's not about the individual self. It is that, and about all of us coming together and growing in love, which is the awareness of a lack of separation. Look at that. We just multiplied our presence here. Thank you all. Let's do a few more questions. Yay. This is live, everybody, on whatever today's date is, July 13th, 2025. The information hopefully is good forever. And just test it in your heart as we answer questions with the help of my guides. Hi, Nancy Harris. She's our executive
Thank you for being
producer.
here, everyone.
What does Nancy say? Good. Okay. Oh, that's just what the guides just said. Okay. Onwards, Beth.
Okay, Zen has a question. How do we maintain a loving connection with a beloved animal or person in spirit without clinging or preventing them from moving on?
Okay. Okay. First, okay, I'm going to make a note because there are several points here. Without clinging, maintain connection, and preventing from moving on. Right. Okay. The reason I wrote a note is the guides want me to start with the last part of that.
Okay.
Understand we don't move on distance-wise or go away ever. We are completely interconnected as part of that tapestry. We are all threads in one vast tapestry of energy information, which we call consciousness. Your loved ones cannot move on from you. You are always connected. But I know in human terms, the question is, what if they no longer are interested in us? You will always be entangled. You're not keeping them from anything by sharing your love. But what they do want for you is to not feel needy. They want you, as all souls do, to know you are souls who are intimately connected and to come to trust that connection. That's what this Awaken Way path is about. It's coming to know we're souls. That's what the documentary Wolf's Message proves to us. The web of connection is eternal. And it's all about love. So we learned that we move on with our loved ones who have passed, that they will still be part of our life and they can multitask. Here's my friend Brenda, who I haven't felt in a long while, but she's the one that showed me after she passed, she can visit multiple people at once and still be helping me with my mediumship and still growing herself across the veil and learning and having fun. Here in our human experience, we experience a very restricted state of consciousness until we awaken to the fact that we're souls. And then we too can be in multiple worlds at once. It's only one world. It's a matter of where we place our focus. And that was my greatest joy to share with all of you tools for doing that. Like just becoming centered a moment ago when we did that and we shared love with the whole world. We were connecting with everyone. Can you feel the peace in doing that? As you come to trust and know that you're part of that field, this need for your loved one's love, this need for yourself to always be connected with them naturally dissolves because you trust they're right here. My stepdaughter Susan passed in 2006 from a lightning strike. I just heard a news event an hour ago about 3 people struck by lightning in Florida, and I thought, I know that path. They were not killed, but Susan was. But she's right here, right now. And it's taken me a bit of a journey to get to the point where I feel her all the time. She just said, "You're not keeping me from anything, Suzanne." And sometimes your loved one may even hold back and not allow you to feel them if part of your journey is learning to trust. Do you see how that's kind of perverse in the human world? But learning to trust is one of the greatest tasks. It's my greatest joy to help you with that. That's why I have books like The Awaken Way and Making the Afterlife Connection. It is a journey. So, can you maintain connection without clinging? That's your task. There's a big difference. In fact, I teach it in my workshops all the time. We can do it right now. I'd like you all to take a moment and just say the words, I need to connect with my loved one. Say that and feel it. Now I'd like you to become so sensitive that you feel that in your body. What does it feel like to say, I need to connect with my loved one who has passed? Can you feel the tension? You kind of turn inward. That's restricted awareness. Now I'd like you to take a deep breath. Shake your hands off. Clear that out. And now say these words. I may not have had this experience yet, but I trust that my loved one is still part of my life and will eternally be part of my life. I trust. Feel that. That's expanded awareness. That's spacious awareness. That's the soul that's part of you right now. It's learning to access that. When you can do that, you have just come into a place of coherence, which is again a topic of our monthly connection webinar Tuesday night. Please join us for that as we really expand on that and sit in this energy for 2 full hours. But you can access that. And when you can maintain that state of knowing and trust me, now you'll start to sense your loved ones who are moving forward with you. There's nowhere else to go. What a great question. All right, Bev, how about some more?
Another one?
Yeah.
Let's see. Karen asks, if we give our guides permission, can they know our thoughts? And does prayer need to be spoken aloud, or can we speak it in our thoughts?
Okay, Bev, you know I can't do 2 questions at once.
I know.
Okay, so first part, if we give our
Can I-
guides permission, can they hear our thoughts?
Yes.
I have news for everybody. I don't think it's bad news. Let's not label it bad news or good news. I have news for you. You cannot hide your thoughts from your guides. So there's no need to give permission. My guides just said, make sure you're talking to us here. They're showing me, oh, I'm showing my age here. How many people remember Johnny Carson? And where's I have a little Carson. You know, I got to get an envelope here. Here's an envelope. Johnny Carson, he'd go like this, and he would see all and know all. That's what the guides are showing me. They're like that. They already see all and know all. And the reason I say to some of you that might be bad news is you have shame and guilt and grief over human things you've done and human thoughts that you harbor. Yeah, Karnak, exactly. And that's human. But what if, thank you, Cheryl Page, for the what if we could at all times hear our human thoughts and say, there's a higher way. You know, what my soul is not ashamed of any of this. Why did I make that choice? Because I didn't realize I'm a soul. Why did I think that way? Because I was in human mode instead of soul mode. The awakened way is the subtitle of that book, making the shift to a divinely guided life, being consciously connected to spirit, which you are, but shifting your awareness to say, what do I have to hide? I must be in human mode. So your guides want you to get to the point where you have nothing to hide because they love you no matter what. They love you no matter what you did that you're ashamed of. They know it all and love you anyway. They want you to get to the point where you feel that way to yourself as well. And when you do that, then your choices are going to be higher, and then the shame and guilt don't come up anymore because you're making higher choices. You see how it builds on itself. So no need to ask permission. They already know it all. And by the way, your loved ones across the veil see everything clearly too. And that's why when we, as mediums, do readings, one of the first things that those across the veil want to do is say, I'm sorry, or thank you, because they see it all. Okay, what was part 2, Bev?
If prayer should be spoken aloud, or if we can pray in our thoughts.
It's both. The guides say both are powerful, both are meaningful, both have purpose, and yet spoken aloud gives it oomph. How's that for a spiritual term? So really helps you to maintain your focus and give it power, but know that those that you think are, how can you say, I'm asking them, how can you say it's equally powerful? Oh, do you see that lip twitch? It's from the soul's point of view, it's equally powerful. From the human point of view, it gives it more power. So try both, but know that both are effective. We're coming to the top of the hour here. We'll keep going just a little longer. I'd love to hear from a few more of you. I love seeing the comments over there. Thank you all so much for joining us. Okay, Bev, let's do a few more.
Ready?
Ready.
Carrie asked, when someone is abused, do we really choose experiences that traumatic, or is that a sign that something went wrong on the earth plane?
Okay. Absolutely something went well. What went wrong is a person interacted with another human who was completely blinded to the fact that we are souls playing roles. And souls come into life saying, choosing their parents, for example, and the guides may say, oh, somebody just tickled my hair up there. Okay. The guides say, you are choosing parents who are not aware they're souls. You may face some challenges with them. And that's another case of, well, this is going to give me a chance to really grow and learn to love myself and learn forgiveness. But you don't go in willingly knowing that there's going to be violent. Is that true, guys? You know that there's a propensity for violence and it may happen, but at the soul level, you will remain knowing that all is well. If we could bring that to the forefront, we would definitely find more peace. But okay, the guides say one important thing to know is that we do not go into human form knowing we will commit violent acts. You see, all violent acts are the, can I make such a blanket statement? Yes, all violent acts are a result of ignorance of who we are as souls, interconnected, part of one being. Wow. Okay. I'm running out of steam here. I holding that connection. I want to make sure these answers come from the highest place, and they are still, but I don't want to drop that link. So let's do one or two more, Beth.
Okay. This question is about hospice. When a person is in hospice, can their soul go back and forth across the veil before they pass?
Oh, absolutely. Happens all the time. How many of you tuning in right now are hospice workers or nurses or healthcare workers who have seen the person who's in that transitional state talking to loved ones across the veil? And the guides want us to know we go back and forth across the veil at night and in our dreams and in our meditations. But in that hospice state, we're already practicing separating from the physical body. We're already more attuned because we're letting loose from our thoughts and the human bio field and the emotional field and the mental field and tuning in more to our true nature as spirits. Let's just end with this one, Bev, because it's so important to know that we don't become a soul when we die. We're just more aware of it in the dying process. And that's what you're seeing. And loved ones across the veil always gather to greet you when you cross. One of my favorite readings I ever did was when I said, your uncle's here and he's with your dad and brought through evidence from both. And I said, and your uncle's showing me this hand reaching in and that he pulled your dad across, that he was there to greet him. I got goosebumps. And my client started crying. She said, I asked him to help my dad across the veil. This is the validation. I had no idea he asked that, but the uncle wanted to let her know her prayers, right? Asking her uncle were answered, but her uncle would have been there anyway because our loved ones greet us. But in answer to your question, Bev, the person, our wonderful Awaken Way community member question, yes, in hospice, the soul is much more attuned to the next chapter in our eternal lives. Wow. Look at that. We have over 1,000 people joining us right now. I'm feeling the love big time. What a way to start the day. I'm in the Pacific time zone today, so I'm used to doing this at noon, and the day's just getting started here. Thank you all so much for the love that you bring to our gatherings. Any final words, Bev?
Oh, just thank you. Could feel the love. It was wonderful. Great energy.
I'm going to go back and read through the comments. So many familiar names, many new names. Hopefully, I know I'll see a couple hundred of you next week at Rhinebeck at the Omega Center. And I will see more of you on Wolf's Message documentary tour. A great chance, at least 10 more times, that I can meet with those of you in person across the United States. Those of you joining us from around the world, who knows? What if I come to your country? I would love that. Okay, but meanwhile, thank goodness for technology that allows us to be here together. We love you all. See you back here for another weekly episode and little snippets in between on my YouTube channel. Love to all of you and blessings on your journey. Thanks, Bev. Bye-bye,
Bye-bye.
everybody.